Suppose I want to change a number that's written in base 10 into a different base. Here I have changing 75 into base 6. Well, in base 6, we know that the place values are going to be powers of 6, so it might be useful to remember what those are. Powers of 6, 6 to the 0 power is 1. Anything to the 0 power is 1. 6 to the first power is 6. Really what I'm looking for is the first one that goes over the number that I'm trying to convert here. So I'm not there yet. 6 is smaller than 75, so I'm going to keep going. 6 to the second power is 6 times 6, or 36. Well, that's still smaller than 75, so let's go one more just to check. 6 to the third power is 36 times 6, which is 216. Well, that's way too big, so we don't need that one. 6 to the second power is the biggest one. That's smaller than the number I'm interested in, 75. Now what I'm going to do is subtract. I'm going to take my number, 75, and I'm going to subtract 36 until I can't subtract 36 anymore. And I can do that twice. You can do them one at a time if you want. I just happen to know that it's going to work twice. It's like those cooking shows where they put the cake in the oven and 2 seconds later they pull out a beautiful done cake. It's like that. 36 twice. So 75 minus 36 again leaves me 3. What I just found out here is that I can subtract 36 twice. So in the 6 to the second power place, I'm going to have a 2 because I did 6 to the second power twice. Well, 3 is already less than 6 to the first power. I can't subtract 6 from 3 and still have a positive number. So in the 6 to the first power place, I'm going to have 0 because I can't subtract 6 from that at all. These 3 here are going to be in the ones place. So my number in base 6, I have 2 36s, 2 times 6 to the second power. I have no 6s because 3 was too small to subtract 6, and 3 1s. We want to make sure to note that that is base 6 and not base 10. So we did it. We just converted 75 into base 6. Let's look at the next one. I want to change 1036 into base 5. Well, if I'm in base 5, then my places are going to have values of powers of 5. And I'm going to keep going until I get to one that's too big. Too big is bigger than my number here, bigger than the number that I'm trying to convert. Well, let's see. 5 to the 0 power. That's 1, because anything to the 0 power is 1, much as it was before. 5 to the first power. That's 5, but we got a long way to go before we get to 1036. 5 to the second power is 5 times 5, or 25. Yep, still going. 5 to the third power is 25 times 5, which is 125. Think of having 5 quarters. Well, that we're getting warmer, but we're still not there yet. So let's try another one. 5 to the fourth power is 125 times 5, which is 625. If I multiply 600 times 5, that's 3,000, which is way bigger than my number 1036, so that's the last one we need. Now it's time to start subtracting. So I'm going to take my number 1036 and subtract 625 as many times as I can without going negative. And that's going to be once. 1036 minus 625, I have 411. That's less than 625, so I can't do it again. But look what we just found out. I subtracted 625 one time. That's 5 to the 4th power one time. So in the 5 to the 4th power place, I'm going to have a 1. Well, now we'll go to the next lowest one, which is 125. So I'm going to start from 411, and I'm going to subtract 125 as many times as I can without going negative. And it turns out that we can do that 3 times. And again, you can do one at a time if you want. If I subtract 125 3 times, I have 36 left. So what that tells us is in the 5 to the 3rd place, I'm going to have 3 because I could subtract that value 3 times. Now we'll do the same thing. Let's start from 36. We're in the 5 to the 2nd place. That's 25. So I'm going to subtract 25 as many times as I can without going negative. That'll just be ones. 36 minus 25 is 11. Now we're going to back up another place. From the 11, we'll subtract 5 until we can't do it anymore, and that'll be twice. So in the 5 to the 1st power place, I'm going to have a 2 because I've subtracted 5 to the 1st power 2 times. The 1 that's left, that's a 1. That's what's going to be in our ones place because we can't subtract 5 anymore. Well, let's see what we got here. In the 5 to the 4th place, we had 1. In the 5 to the 3rd place, we have 3. In the 5 to the 2nd place, we had 125. In the 5 to the 1st place, we had 2, and we had 1 left over in the ones place. And again, we're going to note that this number is in base 5.